Welcome to the Southern State of Golf Podcast. Hi, I'm your host, John. In today's episode, I'm excited to talk about my recent experience at Bulls Bay Golf Club. Had an opportunity to participate in the Charleston Leadership Foundation golf tournament that was recently held in Awanda, South Carolina, where Bulls Bay is located. This was one of those opportunities that came around at the last minute, and I was just very thankful for the opportunity to get to play Bulls Bay. Bulls Bay is a Mike Strantz course. That's one of those courses. It was in my top 10 courses in South Carolina that I wanted to play. I've always wanted to play Bulls Bay. I did have an opportunity to visit there probably 10, 15 years ago when I helped out with the KL Cancer Fund Foundation golf tournament. And I was just blown away about just how cool Bulls Bay is. And that's the thing about Bulls Bay. Bulls Bay, I think, is just such a cool looking course. The clubhouse is cool. It was set up high. And we'll certainly talk more about that as we get into my experience there at Bulls Bay. You know, this is the first time that I participated in a Shamble golf tournament. You know, the Charleston Leadership Foundation golf tournament was a Shamble golf format, which honestly, I never heard of that before. But the way it is everybody tees off and you pick the best tee shot from that. And then you play, everybody plays their own ball after the best tee shot. And then from us, the way we played it was the two best scores out of our foursome is what counted. And that's what was called a Shamble. I know there may be some different variations with the Shamble, but I thought it was just, I had such a great time playing this format. And that it also did help that we had a guy that was part of our foursome that could absolutely bomb it. I think we used I'm actually pretty confident that we used at least 95% of his tee shots on all the par fours and par fives. I can't even think of one that we didn't use. And I hit for me some bombs as well. I hit some great tee shots, but man, this dude was so long off the tee that it was ridiculous. He was hitting 300-yard bombs. I mean, it was incredible. The Shamble was a fun format because if you had someone that hit a great tee shot, then you could go for it. Like you could really, if you wanted to be aggressive, you wanted to swing harder just to see if you could get one better, then you're great. Now, of course, the flip side's also true in a Shamble. If the first three people shanked it, terrible tee shot, then that last dude's got to put something in at a good spot. And, you know, our group, we actually did pretty well overall. No thanks to me particularly, although I had a couple of good holes where my score counted, but that was because of our one guy just killed it. And this was the fun thing about golf that I love, and particularly this day. The foursome, I think two guys knew each other, and the other two, including myself, we didn't know each other. Like I said, this was a last minute deal that we just got an opportunity, you know, to play in this particular golf event, and we got thrown together. And all four of us, I think we really did. We had a blast, had a really good time, played good golf, you know, good fellowship, got to talk to people. Everybody else has played Bulls Bay before, and this was my first time playing it. And like I said, I'm a huge Mike Strantz fan. I mean, I'm a big fan of what he's done. And Bulls Bay is, you know, Mike Strantz is, the way I've got it, you know, it's like, how many courses did he design? You know, if you look at Google will say anywhere between 7 and 9. You know, and the way I understand it is, you know, he designed 7 courses by himself, and then there was 2 courses that were renovations, you know, of courses he's already designed. And the way I understand it, Bulls Bay was his last, you know, full design that he had. So, and I'm just a huge Mike Strantz fan, just a big fan. And the story of Bulls Bay, it just seems like it's a really cool thing because in Charleston, it's in Awanda, South Carolina, which is, you know, probably more northeast of Charleston. And, you know, it's probably about, people say, depending on the time of day and traffic, it's about 40 miles away from downtown Charleston, you know, 20 minutes from Mount Pleasant, South Carolina there. But, you know, to say it's in Charleston, I can go with it. That's fair. People in Charleston might take offense to that. People in Awanda might take offense to it. But it is a beautiful piece of property there in Awanda. You know, the thing that I really like about it is this Bulls Bay Golf Club is a golf club first and foremost. It is nothing else. It is not a country club. They don't have other sports or anything else. This is all about the golf. This was the vision of, there's probably a number of people that this is the vision of. Part of it is Joe Rice, who's a local attorney that, was the funding behind it. And then it was Mike Strantz. Mike Strantz, he's an architect, but I think when I've read about it, people will like throw about, he's really an, architect, but he's an artist. And I would say the area where Bulls Bay was created, it was his canvas. You know, but Mike Strantz actually lived on site while creating it. I think a lot of golf, architects, they don't live where where they're putting up these different courses, but Mike Strantz actually, lived there while on campus. They said many times it was a big canvas of what he tried to do. One of the crazy things about Bulls Bay is it sits, in the Charleston Low Country where most of your golf courses and really most of the land is pretty much relatively flat. As a matter of fact, before this golf course was created, the land sat only about above 6 feet above sea level. And there was an insane amount of earth moved to create this course. They said approximately 2 million cubic yards of earth were moved during construction. Just massive amounts of shaping and different things went on to create the different features. And of course, the stunning feature of the golf course is where the clubhouse sits, which is roughly 75 feet. They, the crazy thing to me about all this and the amount of earth that they moved is staggering. But what is also staggering to me is it looks natural to me. Now, granted, this was done in the early 2000s when this was created. Like I said, this was Mike Strantz's last, solo masterpiece that he created, which I do. I believe it is a masterpiece. I believe it is an outstanding golf course, and the view from the clubhouse is amazing. The view looking up to the clubhouse, I think all of like 4 or 5 holes where you can view the clubhouse, or I think you can see all but maybe about 4 or 5 greens from the clubhouse itself. That's just how high up. 75 feet to some may not sound like a lot, but in the Charleston Low Country, it is. It's up there. Holes number 9 and number 18, they finish up playing up to the clubhouse, and they're outstanding holes. It's but it doesn't feel man-made. That's the thing about it to me. If you were there originally, you might think it's different, but to me, it seemed all natural. I don't think anything about it was man-made, but the reality is, man, this course was man-made. And Mike Strantz, give him credit, and the construction company, when they put this together, I think it's crazy. I mean, it looks great. It feels natural to me. Now, I know there might be some people in Charleston say, this doesn't feel natural to me. But the clubhouse, how it sits above the high point, I think it looks amazing. And the story is that they kind of fashioned this a little bit, or maybe the reminder off of Shinnecock. And, one of the stories is Joe Rice, when someone told him, hey, I want this to kind of be like Shinnecock. Joe Rice, like, I have no idea what Shinnecock is. I've never seen it. Maybe he did have an idea, just hadn't seen it. But so they flew up there and they saw it, and then Mike Strantz kind of sketched out what it would look like, and Joe Rice was apparently like, all right, let's do it. I know I'm oversimplifying that story a little bit, but I think it's amazing. I think it's one of the coolest clubhouses, especially settings in South Carolina. We're very blessed and fortunate in South Carolina. I have some great clubhouse and views, and I certainly put Bulls Bay in there. In both that 9th and 18th hole, finishing up high when you're going up. I will say, for me as a whole, I'm not a huge fan of golf holes going uphill. I just not. Maybe part of that is just because I don't play well going uphill. But for me, I'm not a huge fan of that, but it works here. Both the 9th and 18th holes are fantastic. Of the 18 holes, I would tell you I probably love about 12 of them that I love, and the other ones are solid too, but there's about 12 holes that I think are really, really good that I really like. One of the things I like too is, there's some cool par fives out there too. They're almost like a horseshoe where you really, I didn't really understand the horseshoe concept with it, but it really truly is. There are some holes that, you've gotta, you know, bomb it. You probably can't bomb first of all, it's not me to try to reach a par 5 and 2, but it's almost, I don't wanna say impossible, but really difficult. Um, Now I will say this too. One of the things that I like about Bulls Bay is I think it is challenging for long hitters but it's also wide enough for guys like me who aren't particularly long to where to make mistakes. I didn't lose many balls. I think I lost maybe 2 balls on the golf course, and there's a lot of water. For me, if there's a lot of water in the course, that tends to be a problem. Of course, I will say it certainly helped the guy that we played with that was bombing him off the tee. We always had shorter, lines into the hole. But it was a very fair golf course for people that aren't great, but I think it also there was a lot of shot making ability for guys that can bomb it, like choices you got to make. Of course, Mike Strantz is known as the Maverick, and so I think I think it's got a good mixture. I would love to know what other people think. Um, it's a golf course that I will tell you, I think that I like more and more after playing it, taken some time away from it. Like, I think I've researched the course more after playing it than I did before playing it, and then trying to understand a little bit more about what Mike Strantz was doing. I think it is amazing. Like I said, there's really so many really good golf holes out there. And, there was even one where they put some they created one particular area of a back tee in one of the holes that is just like they said it costs like $1 million just to create this little area for a back tee way back um, to create something better. It is, Bulls Bay is host to the Hootie at Bulls Bay. It's a college golf tournament that's known as one of the best college golf tournaments in the country. It's one of the more prestigious ones out there. And then, obviously Bulls Bay is a fantastic setting for it. You know, Bulls Bay is an incredibly difficult tee time to get. They do not, you just can't call up there and say, "Hey, can I get a tee time?" And they're like, "Sure, come on over." It is known by a lot of people to be a very difficult tee time. Now, what I will say about this that I really like that Bulls Bay does, and then their leadership handle, they do have a number of charity golf events that go out there. Not what I would consider a ton, but they have a fair amount of charity golf tournaments, and this is what this one was part of, the Charleston Leadership Foundation Golf Foundation. But they have other different charity golf events during the year, gives you an opportunity to get on. I also like it. You can tell that when you see these auctions that go on for different causes, that there's many times there's a Bulls Bay foursome or threesome with the member on there. So I like that there's a philanthropic, motive to this golf club where it's not all just about them. But I would also say it is hard to get on. This is not an easy particular tee time to come around. There's a lot of private clubs which you can find a way to get on. And there's people out there to help you out. And I'm not saying this isn't the same with Bulls Bay, but this has been one of the harder tee times for me to be able to get an opportunity to play. So I'm very thankful for that. And, but I will say this, what people will say when they play Bulls Bay is it feels relaxed. It does have a relaxed atmosphere. It doesn't feel so prim and proper, which I think some private golf clubs, especially ones that are hard to get on, they kind of come across as maybe stuffy. Bulls Bay doesn't come across that way. Now, granted, I did play it on the day where it was a part of a charity golf tournament. So most of the people out there weren't members. I think there still were some members a part of that, but it had just a kind of a cool, just atmosphere vibe to it. The membership of the course is really limited as well. Matter of fact, if you were to go to their website, which I think they got a solid website, bullsbaygolf.com. It's got a great picture. That's actually looking up of with the clubhouse in the background. Number 9 is one of the first ones that they show there. But if you go to click on the membership tab, they don't even have like the club membership full, and they're not even adding to the waiting list. Apparently, the waiting list is so long they don't even add to it. I know Darius Rucker is a member. I'm sure there's other, famous people that are members at Bulls Bay, and Darius has talked frequently. That's one of his favorite, it's his favorite golf course. I think one of the things too, if you go to like YouTube, at TikTok, and you search Bulls Bay, when people are pulling in, that shows that they got the iron, the bull, skull with the horn sticking out, that it opens up and people come in. When I went through, I was hoping that gate would be closed and I could open it to see it open up, but it was already open. But that was kind of a cool thing. And like I said, so many holes were so many great holes. Like I say, number one, you tee off from an elevated position down, and number 10, I think is fantastic. You're teeing up really high, and then it's a quick drop, down there. And I bombed my tee shot at number 10. Absolutely bombed it. Like I don't know how far, but for me, it was probably 270, but got well outdriven by somebody else, by the guy that was on our foursome. He probably put his three, it was definitely 3+. And I felt good about mine. It was like one of those, like, okay, maybe one time we can use my drive. Nope, didn't happen. The other guy just bombed it down there. But that was a cool thing. There was so many great holes. Like I said, I talk about 10, you talk about 9, you talk about 18. One was really good. The par threes, they got 5 par threes out there. One of the things I loved about the par threes are they're not crazy long. I'm not a huge fan of par threes, at least for my ability, that's over like 180. Now, I know part of the people will say, well, you're picking the wrong tees. Well, that may be the case, but the par threes are all gettable for most. I think we played the skull, what they call the skull tees. Certainly didn't play the Maverick tees. Those are way too far back there. Maybe not from our guy, part of our group. But the par threes were all very gettable. Now, there were some of them were very difficult too, with marsh and water around, bunkers. I mean, I was in the sand frequently, and it's just, but it never felt punitive while I was out there. And like I said, the thing too about Bulls Bay, with it being just a golf community, there's some housing around there, but not really around the golf course. But this is a golf club. This was created to be a golf club. It wasn't created to be, I think some private clubs are created to be residential areas and then real estate stuff, and then let's throw a golf course in the middle. This was created as a golf course. This was created as a golf club, and something that's just, like I said, really cool. I would imagine, I don't know the others, but it's probably one of Mike Strantz's hardest courses to get on, because most of his courses are public courses. Now, this was actually my 4th course of Mike Strantz I got to play. I had an opportunity to play Tobacco Road, True Blue, Caledonia, and now Bulls Bay. And Bulls Bay, like I said, is really, really outstanding. It's consistently considered, I'd say, one of the top courses in South Carolina. They also got their training facilities called the Ranch. Everything is leaning on the ranch, the bull, that type of mantra, which many times that's what Mike Strantz courses are like. They even got their mascot, Titleist the Bull, will make an appearance. A real live bull will make an appearance from time to time. He was not, he was not there at our particular event, but it's just such a cool area, cool golf course, cool vibe. The pro shop had a lot of really good gear in there. Certainly got me a hat, from there. And it's just really cool stuff. So I'd highly encourage you, if you ever get an opportunity to go play Bulls Bay, this is one of those you take them up on it. For me too, it's one of those that if someone were to offer me next week, say, hey, I got an opportunity to go play Bulls Bay, how would I look at it? For me, I'd jump on it. I said, all right, let's go make it happen. Sometimes when you play a course that's maybe highly ranked, highly rated, you've already played it once, what would you do to try to play it again? And for me, Bulls Bay, if someone offered me an opportunity next week, I'd go figure out a way. Let's go play. That I want to go play it again. I would love another opportunity to go play Bulls Bay, and maybe even take my time, because this particular time when I went, I had to rush down there. I had to rush to get back because I had to work, had another event to go to later on at night, and part of my day job. So I would probably like to take a little bit more time there, but while playing, there was no rush. It did not rush. The food there was really good. I had some pork and rice and kind of a southwestern Mexican flavor type style to it that was there on the course. That was part of, the of the charity golf tournament, which the food that they had there, like I said, it was really good and certainly well done. And so I would always encourage you, if someone's offering you an opportunity to go play Bulls Bay and you haven't ever played it, go play it. That's one of those you go say yes. You go figure it out because you don't know those opportunities don't come around, frequently. So as we head into, I'm kind of changing. Bulls Bay was one of the top 10 courses when I first started this podcast, I say years ago, but it was actually just last year, 2025. One of my first podcasts, I talked about the top 10 courses in South Carolina that I wanted to play. And Bulls Bay was in that top 10. And so I get to mark one of those off. I'm so excited, to have gotten to play it. I've actually created a new top 10, very similar, but it's called Top 10 Courses within about a 3-hour drive of where I live in Columbia, South Carolina, that I would like to play. And so this could encompass some of North Carolina, some of Georgia. What I will say is two courses, I actually took 3 courses off the list. First one I took off the list was Augusta National. Yep, it's only about an hour and some change, but everybody wants to play Augusta National, so I've taken that off the list. But please realize that is absolutely, if we're talking the top course I want to play was when a 3-hour drive, it's Augusta National, without a doubt. Other 2 courses, I could have probably fudged and put them on the list, but I didn't, which was Wade Hampton Golf Club in Cashiers, North Carolina, and Ohoopee Match Club in Georgia. Those are technically a little bit more than 3 hours away, so I didn't include them on the list. I debated about it. Should I include them? I guess I could. Probably thought about it way too much, but I did not include Wade Hampton or Ohoopee. So if I did, those 2 would actually be very, very high on the list. So let's go now with the top 10 courses I would like to play within a 3-hour drive. Most of these are in South Carolina, but like I said, within a 3-hour drive. And these are courses I have not played yet. These are not my top if I could play any course again, but the key is courses I have not played yet. Number 10, Augusta Country Club. Well, Augusta Country Club right down there, which it nestles right up next to Augusta National. It seems like it would be just really cool to play at a course that's right next to Augusta National. It has the same landscape as Augusta National. Certainly not Augusta National, but it's always seemed like a really cool course. Love to play it. Number 9, Hague Point. Hague Point Club that's down there in Defusky Island. It's got a really cool cool factor to it that looks so neat. Got to take a ferry to get over there. I know the guys, the Whole Story podcast, Robbie and them got an opportunity to play it, and there's a great podcast that talks about the vision and different things at Hague Point Club. I would encourage you, go check it out. Go to bestball.com and check out the wonderful selection of podcasts that the Best Ball family has, and go check out the one about Hague Point. Certainly outstanding. Number 9, it's a new one on my list, and I don't know a ton about it, but I'm a big fan of the area. It's Anson Point. Anson Point's part of the Palmetto Bluff family of golf courses, where you got May River's also part of Palmetto Bluff. You also have Crossroads, which I'm a huge fan of Crossroads. But Anson Point was designed by Bill Coore, Ben Crenshaw. It's set within 500 acres there in the low country, kind of the Bluffton area, but part of the Palmetto Bluff. Palmetto Bluff is just, I think, one of the coolest, understated as far as how cool of an area that is to vacation in. Now, or vacation, maybe live, I may not be saying the right word. I also say it isn't cheap. But the way I understand, Anson Point is a completely private club, but it's one of those that I'm just dying to play. I'm a big fan of Bill Coore and Ben Crenshaw designs. I think they're really cool. The course's logo is the Eastern Wild Turkey, and our friend Dave Basden, he was a big part of the design of that as well. I think it's a cool logo. Matter of fact, I think I messaged him on Basden on Instagram, said he could cost me some money, because if I go to have an opportunity to play Anson Point, I know I would certainly, purchase, some of their items from there, because I'm a big fan of, like I say, cool logos. Great, great logo. I mean, too, you got an Eastern Wild Turkey. Sounds pretty cool. Number 7, Succession Golf Club down in the Beaufort area. super hard to get on. It's one of these courses where they don't allow unaccompanied people to play anymore. You've got to be accompanied by a guest. So, a lot of places will allow you to play unaccompanied, but Succession Golf Club isn't one of those. It's also probably got one of the coolest porches, kind of 19th holes all in golf that would be down there. Just one of those I just love to be a part of and take in. Number 6, Harbortown Golf Links. Harbortown. That's what I gotta say. Hilton Head, absolutely incredible. Certainly want to play it. I mean, it's on the PGA Tour. It follows right after the Masters, and there's a lot of PGA Tour pros that say they love Harbortown. They just love the setup of the golf course. And to me, when you get, pros will keep it real, and I just think that would be really cool. Number 5 on my list is 21 Club. 21 Club is that new golf course that's in the Aiken area down there that's still pretty new, and it's kind of got a little mystique to it. Like, I haven't seen a ton about it. There's a little bit out there by social media. I don't know if they're still technically in preview play, but there's this just cool vibe. I love the logo. And the fact there's a little mystery in there, I think will be outstanding. Look forward to an opportunity, hopefully go play that at some point in time. It just looks really, really cool. Number 4 is probably the one that I know hardly anybody's played it. I did know our good friend on the podcast, Corey Lewis, who's played over 2,000 different courses, Cherokee Plantation. Cherokee Plantation, which I think membership is in, I think they said the 20s or the teens, something really low, really hard to get on to play. I think one place called it one of the most exclusive golf clubs in the world, just because there's so few people and it gets so few rounds during the year, and there's really just not much known about it. I just think that would be such a cool place to play. I wouldn't, if they showed me a picture of the hole, I wouldn't know a single hole on the golf club. But when you talk about exclusivity, it's rare. Not many people know about it. It's hard to get on. It's probably that intrigue factor of not knowing a whole lot, but you want to go try it. So that's why Cherokee Plantation is number 4 for me. Number 3, Sage Valley. Sage Valley, I think the people have talked about it often. I even saw where Kevin Hart went out there and played Sage Valley when he was down for the Masters. Sage Valley is just one of those that it's built up to be this grand golf course, and it is. Everybody says nothing but great things. I haven't had an opportunity to play it. But that's one of those that, hey, if I'm ever invited, ever fortunate enough to, I will say yes in a heartbeat, figure out the rest of it. Number 2 on there within 3 hours, and this one's a North Carolina course, Pinehurst number 2. Probably could have put some other Pinehurst courses on here, but we went with Pinehurst number 2 as the number 2 course within 3-hour drive that I want to play. I mean, Pinehurst number 2, what do you mean? It's hosted so many big time events, so many wonderful things about it. It's the crown jewel, of North Carolina, or one of their crown jewels in North Carolina golf scene. Of course, it being a public course, as long as you stay on property. I just think it'll be such a cool. It's like when I think of history of golf, you got to put Pinehurst number 2 up there. Looking forward to an opportunity to play that. And the number 1 course within a 3-hour drive that if anybody could say you could pick one to play tomorrow and we'll get you on there, excluding Augusta National, Congaree Golf Club. Yep. Congaree Golf Club is, there's that mystery factor too. I did have an opportunity to go down there when they had the Palmetto Championship, a PGA Tour event that was kind of created, I think, on a 1-year, maybe 2-year basis there a few years ago. But Congaree Golf Club, which, it was philanthropic message and reason why it was created. And I just think it was so cool. It just, the course is beautiful itself. That they're trying to help young people out with it. Their mission for it. It looks really cool. And I love the logo. The logo with the little teepee. I guess it's a teepee. That may not be the right thing to say, but I just think it's an outstanding, simple, cool logo. And like I said, the course looks amazing. I mean, it is. I can imagine it'd be a lot of fun. Of course, maybe for me not being as good at golf, maybe it wouldn't be as fun as I think. But those are my 10 courses I would love to play. Now, I haven't had an opportunity to play yet that are within about 3-hour drive of where I live in Columbia, South Carolina. Now, I'm sure I've missed a few others. Like I said, there's a few others I could put in there. I'd certainly love to play a number of the other Pinehurst courses. I really Todd Hill Farms is another one up in North Carolina that's not far that I really, really, really want to play. And there's a number of courses in Georgia as well that I think would be outstanding. Just a lot of great golf out there. So tell me, what do you think? What are some great courses in the South Carolina, maybe near the North Carolina, South Carolina border, the South Carolina, Georgia border that you would like to play? I'd love to get your list. What did I miss? Maybe I missed something. Hopefully, maybe I even played it. Maybe I need to do a top 10 list of the courses I played. Then I kind of feel like I'm ranking things I really like. But, I encourage you to go to bestball.com to check out all the great podcasts that we have, a part of our Best Ball family. A lot of great guests going on, a lot of great things going on right now. I'm excited about the guests that are about to come on our podcast coming up real soon. We're going to have an episode coming out soon talking about volunteering at a Corn Ferry Tour event here at Wood Creek Club in Columbia, South Carolina. That's going to be a fun episode to share, the good things that are going to happen out there, because I'm sure it's going to be a lot of fun. But I thank you for your time listening to another episode of the Southern State of Golf. Have a great day.